welcome everyone. My name is Ramses. I run RoamStack, a knowledge base, a knowledge hub, a membership community for Roam power users. Today I'm joined by David Vargas, who is the brain behind RoamGS.com. And I could say like 80% maybe of all Roam plugins come from from David's garage, so to say. And one of his most important new releases are SmartBlocks. So if you're not familiar with SmartBlocks version 1, it's basically I would say a supercharged template engine. So if you use Roam templates, just plain text, fine. If you want to get to the next level, automate a little bit your templates or make them smart, then you need SmartBlocks. So we're not going to dive into the entire SmartBlocks ecosystem because in itself, it's almost like a programming language. So like we would need 5 hours to get to everything. So today we're going to focus on three main changes in version 2. So that's improved performance. Like for me, this is like, yes, like no more waiting or less waiting, I would say. It still depends on how complex you make your templates. Automation, this is awesome. Many people have been waiting for this. And the SmartBlocks Store. So if you want to see how other people create their workflows, the store is the best place to start. And you can also, from now on, share your own creations, even sell them, but I don't want to give too much away. David, maybe you want to also introduce yourself a little bit more and tell us what we're going to see today.
Yeah, thanks, Francis. So for those of you who don't know, I'm David Vargas. I have inherited, so to speak, the SmartBlocks project from Roam Hacker when he created Roam 42. And the two of us, we talked a bunch about like how, so the impetus of the V2 was that he created SmartBlocks before Roam released a bunch of performance improvements and a bunch of basically like APIs to like make developing Roam extensions a lot easier. And then we agreed that like in order to, upgrade SmartBlocks to that new infrastructure, we should just do a whole separate V2. And he, gave me the responsibility of doing so, or allowed me to do so. And that's what we are showcasing today. So SmartBlocks V2, as Ramses talked about, with the new Roam changes, allows three really important features: improved performance, automation, and the SmartBlocks Store. We can start diving into all three of those. And I also want this to be like sort of like a Q&A type session. So if anybody, whenever at any point you guys have like any questions or want to just like riff and talk about like different workflows you plan on creating, just don't hesitate to stop us and share what you have in store.
Yeah, and if you're shy, just put it in the chat and I will interrupt David at strategic moments in this call. Hopefully not interrupting his flow too much. But yeah, this like the purpose of this, also these community calls with RoamStack, it's always to learn together. So even if we don't know the answer, still like it's useful to hear what you're trying to solve. Also for us, for David from a technical standpoint, and for me from more template building perspective, because I love to build and share templates, is to hear what you actually want to solve. So what are you trying to get done in Roam, and how can SmartBlocks help you? But yeah, David, take it away if you want to.
Cool. Yeah, let me do.
You should be able to share.
Yeah, let's do this. And let's go into my developer graph. All right. Yeah, so we're going to talk through, the three big changes, which is the automations piece, or the performance piece, automations, and then the store. I imagine the latter two will have the most questions. The first one is more of what we've already seen, just better, hopefully. So if you're unfamiliar with SmartBlocks, they're very similar to Roam templates in that you define the template on the top, you denote it with a SmartBlock tab, tag for Roam 42 users out there. You can also use 42 SmartBlock. This extension will be able to handle both. And then you just put a bunch of blocks below it, and that will define your workflow. Now, the big change that SmartBlocks v2 brings is that before, when you triggered a workflow, SmartBlocks had to go one by one of each block and output it output it one at a time. And this led to a lot of bugs because you were messing with the UI of Roam, and had some inconsistencies in behavior, and some random blocks would get inserted in between. Now what happens with SmartBlocks v2 is that it gets all calculated at once and then all outputted at once. So it should be instantaneous once it's all ready.
That is really cool. And I think that is because before it was really running one block by one. And if you hit maybe your mouse or escape button, it would stop, and then you would need to start over. And also, I think because of the way it was putting out those blocks, sometimes it would skip blocks for some unknown reason. Is that over with this new engine, so to say?
Yeah. So you can think of the old version v1 as like, you can pretend that it was literally Roam Hacker, like typing into your Roam just like super fast, like every time you triggered a SmartBlock workflow, which is why if like you had like your mouse like on Roam, or if you like typed somewhere else, it's almost as if like Roam Hacker had to like continue typing from like wherever it was left off. So that was like the big thing that the big features that Roam released for developers is that allowed us to, instead of having to pretend to be users, we can just like manipulate the data directly.
Yeah. And you also mentioned that, and it also caught my attention, you can use hashtag SmartBlock, but also 42 SmartBlock. That was the old annotation to mark a branch of blocks as a template. So now you can use both, right? This
So
is it also case sensitive?
It is case sensitive because it's a Roam tag. So the way that the menu works is that it looks for it's basically looking for linked references of SmartBlock and also linked references of 42 SmartBlock, and gathering all those results and putting it in this menu, which is why, so that's why it's link sensitive, so that it's literally using the same like linked references logic as like when you go on a page and you see the linked references section on the bottom.
All right, perfect.
Cool. And so
there's
for those
question from Nick. Sorry.
Go for it.
So he says, I want to use SmartBlocks version 2. Is it best to eliminate Roam 42 first?
You don't have to. So the goal in 2 weeks is to fold the SmartBlocks extension back into Roam 42 so that it includes it automatically. Until then, you should be able to use both, and that's why the SmartBlocks v2 has its own trigger. So if you notice, I've been triggering it all with XX. That's the default that SmartBlocks v2 came with, and it came with its own trigger just so that you can use both and basically like test that your workflows from v1 translate to v2 correctly. And if you run into any issues, like you can then either look through the documentation or reach out to us on the Roam 42 channel, or on Twitter or Slack or email. Like I check all those channels semi-frequently.
All right, perfect. I'll put the link to the Roam research channel in Slack in the chat, but please continue.
Yeah. So the other big thing, so for those unfamiliar, again, with SmartBlocks, like the big difference between SmartBlocks and Roam templates are these things called commands. And so what is a command? Command is a special like placeholder that it will dynamically replace it with text that it represents. So for the easiest example is the date example. We also have SmartBlocks v2 now has this autocomplete to help you write these commands a little bit faster. So cool. If I have this this date today tag or date today command. Instead of outputting the literal text date today, the SmartBlock will replace date today with the daily note page of today. So then you can run xdemo and boom, it'll output the date for today. And so there's a whole library of these different commands. And another big change that SmartBlocks v2 introduced is a little bit more consistent ordering of when commands run. So commands used to have this like really confusing order of like this one comes first, and then this one, and there was like this giant diagram and dependent on what the command was. Now the order is left to right and up to down, and it doesn't matter what that command is. So what I mean by that is if I have an input command and let's say I have two of these. So commands will always run left to right and then top down. So like this first input will first the date one will run, then the input one will run. The first one with the color will run, and then the second one with the support will run. And so just to demo that real quick. What's your favorite color? Blue.
And you did say that all the input fields are like all those alert boxes appear first before the template or workflows run, right?
Yeah, before the text is outputted onto Roam.
Yeah.
So everything like all the special effects that the SmartBlock commands do will happen all at once. Will happen first sequentially, again in the left to right, top down order, and then after like once it gathers all the text that results from those effects, then it outputs it all into Roam.
Yeah. So is it because also with the almost a code or a command completion, it starts to feel more like a programming environment? Is this also the behavior that is more in line with how other languages parse like the code?
Yeah, exactly. Another analogy from programming languages is like nested commands. So let's say I do one command here, set. So the set command basically allows you to like define a variable that you can then use later. So let's say I do set my question to be what is your and then over here I do a get. So first you'll notice two things. There is a new feature for color coding that you can enable in the configuration page. Well, I'll show a little bit later. And that's what you see here in the blue and the red. And that helps you basically parse out like the nesting levels of different commands. And then the second point, which goes on your like programming point, is that commands on inner levels get evaluated before outer levels do. So if we take a look at this command here, this input get, the get inside gets result first. So it gets the value of that question. So what is your favorite color? And then it puts it into the input command, and then the input command runs. So we demo that real quick. You'll see that, boom, what is your favorite color is there right here on the label, because it resolved the get command, got the question variable's value, and put it into the input. The other one thing that just showed me is that all commands.
This went a little bit fast, but what happened exactly? First, it asked for what is your favorite color, and then it put it again in the input field, right? In the second input field.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go through that again. Wait, let me get rid of some of this text here. Yeah. So this, what is your favorite color, came from that get command. So because we set it above that set question, blah blah blah. Then we got the value, put it here, and now we can answer our favorite color, blue. Then we moved on to the next command to the right. So I guess the order really is in to out, left to right, top down. So as you go left to right, each command you encounter, you first go in, out, and then continue going left, right, then continue going top down.
I get it. By the way, for people who find this a little bit confusing, I will be organizing monthly build sessions. So just a little bit like office hours, but completely focused on building workflows with SmartBlocks. So do come to those and sign up for the RoamStack newsletter if you want to attend those. By the way, and to just a last analogy, which I also asked you a while ago. Also with if you're familiar with programming, commands are basically functions. So if you want to wrap your head around, okay, what are commands exactly? They're the functions of SmartBlocks. So
they're both analogously SmartBlocks, and in implementation they are actually like functions in the implementation themselves. It's like each name maps to like a function that runs the like underlying logic.
Yeah, got it.
Cool. So that is a basic overview on commands. There is a huge library of commands that I'll put here, and maybe we can paste that in the chat or in the channel afterwards.
I'll do that.
And here there's, I think, like over 60 different commands. I would not recommend anyone to like actually read this page top to down, but rather you go through your like SmartBlock building journey by like building workflows, starting with raw text of different workflows that you have yourself. And then as you start noticing repetitive tasks, then start thinking about, okay, how can I do this smarter? And then look for the specific keywords like on the documentation and or through Slack and other resources.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, there is on RoamStack, and I will also link to the blog post, and I have done already a public build session where we basically took a use case, wrote some pseudocode, and then we looked into the reference, the command reference to actually build those workflows. So if you want to see that in action, in a bit, I will link to those posts and videos in the chat, so you can dig a little bit deeper if you're new to SmartBlocks.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool. So that's like the basic overview on commands. Let me take a tour to the configuration page. So when you install SmartBlocks, there is a configuration page that gets created under roam/js/SmartBlocks. If you've used other Roam.js extensions, you should be probably familiar with this pattern. Each one of them usually will create an extension or a configuration page like this. And there's all sorts of different settings on how to like start customizing the SmartBlocks experience more closer to your like the way that you work. Probably the easiest example is the trigger. So as you saw before, for me to like trigger a SmartBlocks, I hit XX twice. One thing that I actually like using myself is to use the backslash because Roam already does like a /. I like having a backslash for SmartBlocks. But yeah, if you want to customize your trigger, you come here and edit the value here, and then you would have to reload so that when SmartBlocks loads again, it has that new trigger. There are a bunch of other different features and different ways to like tweak your experience here with a little like description on the top hopefully give a little bit more data or info as to what these different settings do.
Yeah, I have a question. Well, it's a question from the chat a while ago. Let's see. Oh, it was a bit ago. Yeah, Chuck asks, so is it possible to set your custom trigger to a double semicolon as well? So the official Roam template or the native Roam templates are triggered by double semicolon. And Chuck says, well, it would be cool if I could combine it. I don't know if it's possible even.
Interesting. We won't be able to
you need to test it out, Chuck.
Yeah.
report back if your graph explodes.
Yeah, well, it won't explode. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. Part of my question was, before now I have some stuff in SmartBlocks and some stuff in Roam templates, and I always forget where my thing is. So I never know whether I need to do JJ or semicolon. But I guess now, if actually the SmartBlocks V2 is a lot faster, I might just move all my templates into SmartBlocks and get rid of the Roam stuff. So that's probably going to be my solution.
Yeah, I mean, so every SmartBlocks are a superset of Roam templates. So everything that a Roam template can output, SmartBlocks should output as well. And in fact, Roam released the feature after Roam Hacker released V1 of SmartBlocks and stole the semicolon trigger from V1 also. But it's if you want to get it all unified and you already have some in SmartBlocks, I'd probably recommend just moving it all to SmartBlocks and have it under there. I think if you change the trigger in Roam to be the double semicolon, you'll actually just see both menus, and one will be overlaid over the other. That just hasn't been a use case that I've seen yet.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, cool. So trigger is the trigger is the main use case of how to trigger a SmartBlock workflow, but it's not the only way. And the automations goal of SmartBlocks V2 was meant to open the door as to all the other different ways that we could then trigger SmartBlocks. So one was buttons, and this was already from V1, where you can create a button, you give it a label, then a colon with SmartBlock, and then a colon followed by the name of the SmartBlock. Let me get rid of these inputs so we don't do these. If after you create the button you see this little icon, then that's how you know it's a SmartBlock button. And then clicking the button should output the workflow right there, replacing the button. There's also a way to configure it so that it doesn't replace the button and actually puts it below. All of that in the documentation. So that was already there before. What is new with SmartBlocks V2 are the following three: shortcuts, daily, and bulk SmartBlocks. So shortcuts, you can, I'm sure a bunch of you are familiar with Text Expander. In the Roam/JS/SmartBlocks page, there is this tab here called hotkeys. And over here, you can define different keyboard combinations with a SmartBlock workflow. So that it's so let's say there's some workflow that you trigger a lot, you can give it a custom trigger itself so that it just resolves that SmartBlock workflow directly. So for the example, we have SMRT, so smart without a vowel, mapping to the demo SmartBlock. And so you'll see that as I type SMRT, it gets replaced right away with the SmartBlock workflow output. There are two types of hotkeys. There's input ones, which is the one I just showed you, and global. So an input one is like a keyboard combination, like a letter combination that has to be entered within a block. And a global one is one that has a modifier, so Control, Alt, Shift, or Command with a key. And that's something that you can trigger anywhere. So if I If I'm on here and I hit like Control K, and I had that mapped to a smart block, then it will output the smart block workflow output to this page.
So to really make it simple, if your cursor is in a block, then you can use then you can use both the ones that use, an option key or command key, and the shortcut that also contains just letters. If your cursor is not in a block, you can only use those shortcuts that have like control or command defined, right?
That's 100% correct.
Perfect. Yeah, I think this, for me personally, this potentially replaces text expander. Because I only use text expander actually a lot. Well, maybe for my email, etc. But for the rest, all my text expansion happens in Roam. So this is really cool.
Yeah. The only I guess shortcoming is that it can't do this in your other apps. It can't replace that. It can only replace text expander as well. But with other Roam.js extensions, you could output stuff that you create in Roam into those other apps. Cool. So that is shortcuts. The daily automation, we'll go back to the configuration page. There's a separate like higher level tab here for daily. First, you'll need to enable it. And that enablement will basically make it so that each time you load Roam each day, it will look for the smart block workflow in your graph with the name that you've configured, and run that on your daily notes page each day at the beginning of each day. So this is one that I personally use all the time. I have like this daily template that I like to have run each day, and instead of like having to do it manually, now every time I open Roam, it's just outputted there from the get-go.
Yeah, this is what I've been looking for a long time, and I know many people with me. There was a question in the chat about this. So is there a way to trigger multiple workflows at once, or is it just the one workflow? And
for daily or for
for the daily.
So the daily workflow only triggers one workflow. However, there is a way to trigger workflows within a workflow, which is with the smart block command. So let's do
a meta workflow that in turn triggers other workflows.
So let's say I have this workflow here, and then in our demo, we want to do the smart block command and put meta. So this basically says run the smart block workflow with the name meta. And so now, I changed the keyboard. So now when I run demo, it outputs it. It replaces the smart block command with the contents of that workflow. So that's how I would do multiple smart blocks within for your daily. I would just define one and then nest the other workflows as part of it.
Yeah. And if you want to keep your daily notes page clean, I would use buttons, by the way. That is what I do. So for different sections on my daily notes page that I might not use each and every day, but I do want to have it close by, for example, for journaling or for meetings, I just have a button. And when I click on the button, and David already showed it, you can trigger another workflow without polluting your daily notes page. Sorry, I interrupted you, David.
Oh no, yeah, that's actually a really cool use case that I was unaware of until I think Ardia had a video on his, is that you have a master workflow that just outputs a bunch of buttons, and then each of those buttons has a nested workflow that triggers that on click, and so that it can only expand different parts based on your day.
Yeah.
The smart block workflow command also now comes with this new new feature where you can basically put a new day or not a new day. You could specify a new place to execute the workflow. So
wow.
if you want to, let's say, run the workflow, like as part of this master workflow, you want to run the meta workflow, but you don't want to do it here. You want to put it somewhere else. It will run it on somewhere else. So it didn't run here, but if I go to tomorrow, oh no. Okay, something went wrong, but
It's a bug.
it's a bug. It should.
That can happen.
It should. Yeah. The second argument is like a page. If you put like a page or a tag as the second argument, it will run it in that like in that new page.
I love it. I wasn't even aware of the SmartBlock command, so this is great.
Yeah. So you can you can do like you can put like a bunch of SmartBlock commands within it, and then this is like how you can almost like create this, to use the function, the programming analogy again, is basically reusing like smaller pieces of workflow, and then like you can reuse it and like compose it in that way.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, about this automation for the daily page, and this is actually also something I ran into. Madhav is asking, I read somewhere that the daily notes page for the day must be empty, so the daily workflow triggers. Is that correct? Is that still the case?
That is not the case anymore. So
yes.
sorry. Yeah, there was also issues during development where it would like output twice or multiple times on someone's page based on like the number of devices you used. That should all be resolved now. Basically, what happens now is that we have like we're basically tracking like what day you ran it, and then basically checking, okay, when was the last day you ran it? Is that day before today? If it's before today, that means we haven't run it today. Let's run it today. So that should hopefully solve both issues, which was like it should not require the daily note page to be empty anymore. It has like a reference somewhere about whether or not you ran that daily note page for that day. And it should also solve the multiple running it multiple times issue, because now there's like a single source of truth elsewhere.
Perfect.
Cool. So there's one last feature here, which is one last alternative method here, which is the bulk workflow. So right now, so there's a Roam command palette, which you can activate with Control P or Command P. And this is little dialogue here where you can run a workflow in multiple different locations. So let's say I want to run our demo workflow, and I want to run it in, oh, that's funny. I'll put it in like a nested September 16th page.
Oh.
Cool. So if I want to run it in, let's do one more. And then I hit run. It'll run the demo workflow. So that here, it came here on the bottom. And then if I were to scroll down, there it is in the bottom. There it is in the bottom. Nice. So you can use the modal to basically run the workflow in multiple locations. Now, that's like a use case. I actually don't foresee that being the main way to use this feature. What I would like to do, or what I can see this evolving to, is let's say you have like a query, like a Roam query, and you see all the results. I can see putting a SmartBlock button there of like, okay, run workflow X on all of these results. Or I can imagine like in the linked references of a given page, going to that page and saying, okay, run multiple run a single workflow on all of these linked references. There's like a bunch of different ways this could go. My goal with showcasing this book modal is not necessarily expecting people to use the book modal, but to show people, look, we are able to run multiple workflows on multiple different pages. What are the use cases that you can see yourself doing this? Like, what are the situations in which you guys can see yourself doing this, so that we can then build those features and support those support those methods.
Yeah. So this is one implementation, but you can also trigger this basically using commands. Is that what you're saying? Or is it? Can you trigger the bulk only from that one screen?
Yeah. So this bulk, like currently right now, can only run from this screen. What I'm saying mostly is that like we have this capability of running multiple workflows wasn't possible in V1. Well, the only way it was possible was literally going to different pages manually, and then doing like all the manual stuff. But now we have the ability to run as many workflows as we want in as many pages as we want. Given that, I'm curious to see like what people come up with in terms of like what different situations they can foresee themselves running multiple workflows in multiple destinations.
Yeah. Matt is asking maybe one more example of using the bulk workflow. I'd love to see it again if that's okay. Matt, if you want to chime in, is there something specific you have in mind?
Yeah, thanks, Ramses. No, I just want to kind of get my head around the implementation again. Are you okay with running another example?
Yeah, let's do. So another example could be like, let's say I have, I don't know, like multiple, like I create multiple books. So like To Kill a Mockingbird. And what's another good book out there? Da Vinci Code. And let's say I have a book template. And it's like, in this book template, I want the author. And I want a summary. And some other stuff. Right. If I'm like using Readwise or some other app, and I import and I create a bunch of book pages, right? And I haven't, and so instead of like running the book template on each of those pages, I can then use the multiple workflows to specify book template. And then, so instead of like having to go to each of these pages individually, I can then run like the single book template on all these pages. So
I see some regex possibilities here. So for example, I always prepend my book pages with book / so it's the book namespace. It would be really cool if I could just say I want to enter like a wildcard or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah. So these are sort of the like suggestions that I'd be looking for. Yeah, I can easily imagine like doing something like that, and then it runs on like all the all of your pages that are prefixed with book. And what I said before, like imagine you already have a book tag. Like I can imagine a little smart block button being right here, and then you click it and then pick a workflow that you want to run on all these pages. So there's a lot of different directions this idea could go. And the point of this like run multiple workflows modal is to like show people, look, we have the ability to run smart blocks as many times as we want in however many places we want. what ideas can you come up with so that we can build it.
Yeah, that is perfect. That is perfect. I love this.
Cool.
I don't
Any
know if
questions?
Denise had a question. Well, she said she wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, it's actually a workflow very similar to what you just did, David, but I'll give you the use case. It's in writing fiction. So I have one page that lists all my characters and their page references, and I'd like to go ahead and run the character template on all those pages. But I'm not real keen on putting them in one by one. So if you could just go through that list and just do it, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's like another situation, right, where it's like maybe you if you already had it, like you said, you already had the characters in the list. I can see like running, like, so you have character 1, character 2. I can foresee like running a SmartBlock workflow like on all child pages or something like that, and like being able to run it from this block. Yeah, so
that'd be perfect. Yeah,
that's a super cool use case.
So that's not yet possible, right?
Right. So yeah. So all the speculation. The only thing that's available right now in terms of multiple workflows is the dialogue, or I guess putting multiple of these blocks a bunch of times. Those are like the only ways to like do multiple workflows right now. But yeah, like this is part of this is like a call to like what other forms of multiple workflows do people foresee doing. And I think
it's like a feedback session for David to collect new ideas for commands and to extend SmartBlocks if enough people ask for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I only build things that I want, or B that other people want, and so other people have gotta ask, and then we'll build it. Cool. Is there any other
question, Denise? Thank you.
Any other questions before I dive into the last topic?
Let me see. Yeah, people are discussing in the chat and helping each other. I love it. No, that was it. If I missed your question,
can I ask a question?
Oh, Felipe. Yeah, sure, Felipe. Hi.
So I'm curious about how would it be possible, or if it is possible, to run a smart block that gets all the information in a certain page, something like that, as an input, or as a way that you could maybe apply a function to every block in a page, something like that, or every parent block, maybe like on the first level.
Well, what do you mean exactly? So the output would be at a specific page that you input?
The input could be a specific page.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is, if I could have a page full of text, if I could read the text in that page as an input, something like that. And then the output would be a block underneath with maybe a summary of what's going on, or maybe certain keywords or certain entities that are represented on the block itself. Is that possible? Maybe with JavaScript, not exactly with SmartBlocks, right?
Yeah. So this is not. So there isn't a command that does what you're explaining explicitly. There is like an escape hash, or like a catch-all command, which is the JavaScript command, which basically allows you to do whatever you want. Some like during SmartBlocks early days when V1, people were basically building extensions within JavaScript commands, and so you could definitely do something like that. I will say that I think SmartBlocks are probably most effective when they're executing a workflow, or they're like executing a workflow like within context. And that if you're looking to like read data, manipulate data, or existing data, you're probably better off developing and or creating an extension for that. Because then you don't go through the overall like the wrapping smart block logic. You can just do exactly like literally what you're looking for with the blocks that you care about.
Fair enough. takes more of an overdrive, not from within, right? Something like that.
So especially if you're looking to like edit or manipulate existing blocks, I would probably advise that to be more of an extension than a SmartBlock workflow. To me, I see SmartBlock workflows be most effective when they're like templates and or like order of steps that you want to execute as part of a workflow.
Yeah, makes sense. Perfect. Thanks.
I know why you're asking that, Felipe, but
Yeah.
but at the risk of getting too deep into tech stuff, we have 10 more minutes left of planned time, and I know people are dying to see the store, so maybe you can take us through that, David.
Yeah, let's do it. So the SmartBlocks Store. So I don't know if anyone remembered how people shared SmartBlocks before in V1, but I remember when I saw it and just face palming immediately because it involved like
Copy-paste.
Not only copy paste, but like people having GitHub accounts and like having to go to like download this like markdown, having to import into Roam and then like follow these instructions. And it was madness. The SmartBlocks Store aims to solve that core problem. It's to make it very like a lot easier for you to share your SmartBlock workflows with others and for you to like download SmartBlock workflows from the community. Cool. So how do you access the store? There is the Roam command palette, which again, Control P or Command P, and there's an option there called Open SmartBlocks Store. And if you go on right now, we'll be able to see there's a bunch of different SmartBlock workflows already available from the community. You could, as a publisher, you can list your SmartBlock for free, or you can put a price on it, and that will allow people to buy your workflow for the work that you're sharing. Each SmartBlock workflow also has a download count to it. So I guess I'll just use, and so you can basically see like how popular like a given workflow is based on the download count. Fabrice's, which one is the Fabrice one that has a bunch?
The timestamp button.
I think this one is the one. So Fabrice already has 31 downloads on this workflow. So this is like a really popular workflow in the store. I do plan to do some more iterations on the store to make it like a lot more digestible and like order it based on popularity and a lot more like features like that. But at its core right now, you can see all the workflows available and you can search on the bottom based on name, author, description, and or tags. And then of course, if you like click on a workflow, there's an install or buy button, and you can click on the button to install it. Let's say you are a SmartBlock workflow developer or just a SmartBlock workflow creator, and you create this like super cool workflow you want to share with the rest of the Roam community. What you will do is first you need to go to the configuration page, and under the publish tag, you'll want to create a token. Now that I've shown this, I'll probably have to generate a new one after the call. And then if you want to be able to either put a price on your workflows or be able to accept donations on free workflows, then you'll have to connect to Stripe on this panel. And once you do so, then you'll be able to list your workflows for a price and or accept donations. Cool. So after you create a token, you can head on over to any SmartBlock workflow that you're developing, click this little button here, like the Lego button, and this popover comes up, and you can click Publish Workflow, and that will publish the contents of this workflow to the SmartBlocks Store. If your SmartBlock workflow has any JavaScript in it, so either through the JavaScript tags or the if tags, it actually will be put under review status. So if it doesn't have that, it'll be automatically available in the store. But if it has any JavaScript through like if tags and or JavaScript tags, it will be flagged for review, and then it will send me an email, and then I'll have to review it before it gets made available to the store.
That is great.
Mostly
great.
because you can do some naughty things with JavaScript tags.
Absolutely.
Cool. So like I said, once that workflow is published, it'll be available on the store. And demo should be right there. So as you can see, the default thumbnail is there. If you want to change different properties of your SmartBlock workflow, you will have to copy the block ref, and then nested under the block reference, you can put the different properties. So you can add a description for your SmartBlock workflow. This is a workflow I made for RoamStack showcase. You can add an image. So you just copy and paste or upload an image right below here. This is also where you can specify price and just put 10 or whatever in dollars. And then you can also put tags. And this is a list. So you can say that productivity, mindfulness, et cetera, et cetera. And then all those tags get added. And so when I publish this workflow with this new metadata, and then I open the store, you should see that the new about page is there, the tags are there. It'll also, like if I had put a price, it would be listed for a price instead of being free. And if I put an image, it would replace this image with the new image.
And will that price then also reflect on actually the price that it will be for in the store? So if you put in 10, will it show $10? And when people want to
10,
buy it, it will, okay.
Yeah, 10 will be $10, 5 will be $5, etc. And then if like for any reason you make a workflow that you don't want to have listed anymore, like let's say for a RoamStack showcase, then you can remove it from the store, and it'll just yank it out and delete it from the store.
Yeah, perfect. Has this already been documented on Roam.js website?
Yeah. So all this is documented under SmartBlocks Store.
Perfect.
So all the information should be there, and if anything is missing, you can always ping me on Slack, Twitter, email, etc., and we'll try to keep it up to date as much as possible.
Yeah, great. By the way, a comment from Matt, if you want to learn or get some ideas, he says, hey David, random thought, but this might be a good way to share CSS code as well. And he says, I'm thinking that some SmartBlocks might function even better with a custom CSS of some kind. I see Matt, come on. Matt.
Can I elaborate just a little? The example that I was thinking was from Roam Book Club, where Bohan has a specific methodology for generating a Zettel for the Zettel casting. But attached to that, there's some CSS that sort of makes it look a certain way. It occurs to me that theoretically, Bo or anyone else could make a little smart block that executes some kind of a function and would have its own little package of CSS kind of embedded in the smart block. Is that a thing that you would approve of, or you would discourage maybe and say don't do that? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so CSS is actually pretty harmless. So CSS can only affect the look and feel of Roam. So I wouldn't disprove of that. One thing I have been looking into is, so there is already, I don't have it installed in this graph. There is a RoamJS marketplace where you can get any RoamJS extension, and I'm hoping to grow that so that other developers can also publish extensions to the RoamJS marketplace and be able to download and share. I can foresee a similar solution. Like I'd probably be more comfortable with creating like a separate theme store or like a separate theme repo for people to like publish and share themes, and that way you can, you know, add features that are more customized for themes instead of like having to like shoehorn into the SmartBlocks Store. The SmartBlocks Store in general was again like just an experiment of showcasing like we can now like very easily share things we create in Roam very easily. And so things where I think would be really cool to see this grow into is like not just sharing extensions or sharing themes, but I can also see us sharing like Roam courses or Roam books or Roam like articles, or like just there's a bunch of different directions that this could grow into now that like a proof of concept has been made for like SmartBlocks Store or for SmartBlocks. But yeah, in theory, you could just like create, like right now, you could probably just create a smart block that has the CSS here and then just publish that. Like that's definitely possible right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we are almost on top of the hour. I think you've shown everything that we plan to go through and then some. People have been very, very active in the chat. So I will be saving the chat. Maybe redact it a little bit if there's any personal information in it. But there's a wealth of information and answers in there. So everyone who jumped in the chat also to answer each other's questions, thank you so much. This is what the community is about. David, thank you for this demo, but above all, thank you for the next iteration, this new iteration of SmartBlocks. Like the automation, the improved performance, and the store. My goodness, the store. I think that will be a game changer for real.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It was a blast being here and be able to show people what is coming. And yeah, look forward to seeing what people create and start sharing from here.
Yeah, great. For everyone, like I said, there will be a recording. I will be posting it via the RoamStack newsletter. So go to RoamStack.com and subscribe. What else? Like I said, I will be doing monthly build sessions where you bring your challenges, your use cases, and I will try to help you build them. David will not be there because David is way too busy building cool stuff. But I will be sure to gather any good ideas. And I've already promised, I don't know why, but I've already promised to help David a little bit by turning those requests into specifications. So if you cannot really voice what use case you're trying to solve, come to those sessions. Give me your feedback, and then I will try to work with David to make your workflows a reality. I will stick around for a little bit if there are questions. But yeah, I want to again thank everyone, David especially for being here and sharing all these cool creations.
Well, yeah, thanks guys. This was thank you to the community for allowing me to work on this first and foremost, and yeah, thanks again for having me on.